Okay, so I will try to cover the LO2 of human-computer interaction. Yeah. So it says be able to plan an interface for a specified application. So the assumption is that we have to plan that how a user interface should be for any particular application. So it says storyboards.
Yeah.
So do you want to read it?
Yeah, sure, yeah. So storyboarding is used in software development as part of identifying the specifications for a particular software.
Okay, now wait. So storyboarding is used in software development as a part of identifying. So
Yeah.
can you explain from this line?
So basically you would have to come up with some sort of storyboard. Actually, come up with a storyboard so it's more of a visual representation of the specification rather than a written sort of spec.
Okay, I mean, like, the storyboard will help you identify the specification. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Basically, the keywords, they any sentence that is, the main thing. Yeah. Being a, maybe a tutor as well, being a presenter, you need to keep in mind that what's going to happen exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you were talking about the storyboard and something like that, but basically storyboard identifying applications or specification, that it helps to identify that what is going to be coming up, like identified. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So these are basically the kind of techniques in order to deliver something, like to emphasize your words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. During the specification phase, screens that the software will display are drawn either on a paper or using other specialized software. Go ahead further.
To illustrate the important steps of the user experience.
Yeah.
The storyboard.
Yeah. So do you want to highlight these two lines?
Sorry?
So do you want to explain these two lines?
Yeah. During this. So basically, with this bit, it's identifying the important steps of the user experience.
Yeah.
And it's basically what will be displayed on the screen. So you would draw out what you see on the screen, or what the user will see on the screen.
Yeah, so it would be kind of a little practice. It would be kind of a manual, illustration. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That how the system would look like, and you would try to show either on a piece of paper or maybe in a kind of specialized software like that. Quickly created, a kind of user interface demo in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically the storyboarding. And the storyboard is then modified by the engineers and the client while they decide on their specific needs. So obviously, it's a kind of prototype. Yeah, but the prototype is said to be a kind of running, a functional, a kind of semi-final functionality within the system. Yeah, that is a kind of executable, but not fully, but partially. But the storyboarding is that you draw the pictures, on paper or something like that. This would look like this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Then obviously the storyboard would be the quickest and instant, view of the software, and immediately the client can ask you to change it. The client would say, no, I don't want this to be shown in this way. I need this, in this particular layout.
Yeah.
So what I believe that prototype, for example, if you are creating a prototype for someone, it can take maybe 1 hour, because you would be creating a kind of, let's say, layout, the middle, the left, right, bottom, top, the contents, yeah. And probably you need to create, the items as well, the dummy items. However, on the paper, you can create much quicker than the actual prototype, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, I guess really you have to be quite creative as well, don't you?
Yeah.
You have to have a good imagination. You have to be good at thinking about how the best way it's going to look to the user.
Yeah, imagination, and somehow good at drawing as well.
Yeah, I'm okay at drawing, but not the best.
Okay, good. So the reason why the storyboarding is useful during the software engineering is that it helps the user understand exactly how the software will work much better than an abstract, description. So abstract description is known as like you write in written. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It is also cheaper to make changes to the storyboard than an implemented piece of software. Like I said, that if you wanted to create a prototype, obviously the prototype would not be a complete, version, but still kind of, let's say, 10% implemented, just the user interface, it would cost you more. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, next is the navigation. So some sites have a navigation bars which show all the links available all the time. Yeah. So like, I discussed earlier that whatever the phase you are, you should have kept, the website should allow you to navigate to any section. For example, on the Amazon, at every section, it always allow you to go to the orders. It always allow you to go to the your membership and everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Others require that the user hover over a link or click a tab to get access to a second level drop down menu. So it really depends that some of them want the direct click option. Some of them want a menu, then you hover the menu, and then you are going to the sub menu. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
The use of the drop down menu has been shown to cause problems to users in some situations, particularly if the user is new to the internet or has a slight motor problem. So movability of the cursors, and even if, for example, the menus are used into a mobile,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
and the website is not what they call is dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
They use the term nowadays for you know those websites which can quickly be converted into mobile interface.
Yeah. Okay.
So I will tell you the word, what they call. So that's basically the way the drop down menus won't be helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So as drop down menus require fine motor control. Yeah. Motor control word is like that like the way you use the mouse. Yeah. You try to control a motor basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So people with hand trimmers may not be able to control the mouse sufficiently well to access the sub navigation. You must have observed that some of the website like this, like uh, if we try to click on this, for example, yeah, then you see there's a menu and the sub menu. Some of the softwares they quickly disappear.
Yeah, I've had that problem before.
Yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
that's the talk about the navigation. The navigation should have direct bars. Yeah. Or if they are the drop down menus, then they should be in better design. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Screen content. When navigating large information spaces on mobile devices, small size of the display often causes relevant content to shift off screen, greatly increasing the difficulty of spatial tasks such as planning routes or finding points of interest on the map. Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah.
So it shouldn't be the case that your content shouldn't be able to fit on the screen well, and most of the time it happens to the most of the sites, and the solution is basically for example, let me give you an example like this website. Like this Travelwise Nelson, this is a normal website, but when this will go to the you know uh, mobile, yeah, then
Yeah.
this is become they are called, yeah, I got the word now, that's called the responsive theme.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the responsive is like now see, the menus have converted into a kind of mobile thing.
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
Yeah, you must have heard about that responsive website. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the same website, you don't need to do anything. Yeah, like automatically when it would go to the minimization, then see, the menus have been disappeared, and they have come to the specialized menus for the particular device or the size of the screen. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
And
yeah.
once I would maximize this, then these menus would look like differently.
Yeah.
So that's the idea behind like the layout, even the layout has been changed. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's the idea behind uh, screen content. Yeah, and navigation as well. So even the screen content is more supported by the responsive themes. Yeah,
Yeah.
and obviously this was not the case. Then when you try to open the conventional web page, then you need to move your screen by dragging and drop the position of the content of the website.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drag and drop, not a drag and drop, but when you need to press the finger and move the cursor and the content on the left side, on left,
Yeah.
on either side. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
up and down and something like that,
Yeah.
because you never use the scroll bars on the mobile devices. You only need to move, hold the particular content and move up and down, left and right. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
exactly what you mean,
So
yeah.
yeah, so you should be very much careful that how your content should be and how that needs to be placed on these devices, and their usability, navigation, screen content should be uh, shouldn't be the problem for the user.
Yeah.
Yeah? So possibly the responsive theme, yeah, should be one of the solution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Task-centered user interface evaluation. Yeah. So steps in task-centered design process are as follows. So task-centered user interface is basically what the task is. You need to create the user interface accordingly. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
how you can do this? Figure out who is going to use the system to do what. That's the first thing. Yeah. For example, if you want the tasks, of users to be done very well, yeah, then you should follow what? Find out who's going to use the system to do what.
Okay.
That's the
Yeah.
one thing. Choose representative task of the task centered design. Yeah.
Yeah.
So number two, that what is being representative, for the task design. Yeah, what you are going to represent. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Think about it. Yeah. That's a common thing, but never forget or do quick anything. You think about it at least, that what you have to do, whether it would be good or not. At least you should give it a time.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
It's not a point, but it is a main point.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So normally, we don't think, and we said that we have already think.
Yeah.
Like they say that listen to someone. Listening to someone is more important than replying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens, when you are fighting, yeah, and when you are fighting, with someone, yeah,
Mm.
you need to be listening. You need to, listen to someone. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, let me tell you another, uh, I won't believe that's, not ethically good. Yeah. So God said, like a woman said to the God, yeah, oh
Mm.
God, we don't need a husband because we can do anything. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So God said, okay, that's fine. Yeah. If you can do anything, yeah, then, for example, if anything goes wrong, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you claim that you are confident and you won't do anything, you
Yeah.
won't do anything wrong. But if you did, then will you blame yourself? Yeah. The woman, what did the woman said? The woman said, no, I won't, blame myself about my wrong thing. Then, the God replied, then you need a husband to be blamed.
Yeah. Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
So, you normally you don't need any husband, but if you do wrong, yeah, then in order to blame your wrong thing to someone, you need a husband.
Yeah. It's very true that.
Yeah. So obviously, well, so think about it,
Mm.
and you should never regret that what was required, and you had to think about it. You never thought about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So create a mock-up or prototype. Yeah. And test it with users. Iterate it. Iterate is basically don't feel shy, repeating the things. Yeah. If user is not happy, do in other way. Give the multiple options. Yeah. Build it,
Yeah.
track it, that how it is going, and change it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So change it is like you need to change it, so you should be flexible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, usability evaluation. So evaluation is, do you understand? Do you remember what is the evaluation?
Um. Oh, can't remember.
Okay, no worries. You try some, elements, daily, and you will remember. Okay. So evaluation is basically the assessing that what was supposed to do and what is done.
Okay. The assessment then. Yeah.
Yeah, assessment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
usability, you have to evaluate the whether it is useful or not. So Usability evaluation assesses the extent to which an interactive system is easy and pleasant to use. So it means, for example, if I created a user interface, yeah, then if I'm asking you to check it, it means I'm asking you to evaluate it, that if that whether the user interface is fine or not, right?
Okay, yeah.
So the following propositions about the usability evaluation should be done. Yeah, so it is proposed that usability is an inherent measurable property of all interactive digital technologies. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it's inherent, measurable property. You really don't need to, do it explicitly, but obviously when you will use it, then you would know that what you are going to check. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Then human computer interaction researchers and interaction design professionals have developed evaluation methods that determine whether or not an interactive system or device is usable. Yeah. So for example, uh, there may be lots of, evaluation techniques, but we at the end, a survey is given. How, is the website, is this informative? Yes, 10 out of 10. Is the website, usable? Yeah,
Yeah.
3 out of 10, because it didn't have a good, control.
Yeah, okay.
So there are certain, characteristics behind in order to evaluate the usability. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usability evaluation methods also determine the extent of its usability through the use of robust, objective, and reliable metrics. Yeah. So the how extent would be, you can know that robust, whether it is robust, objective, and sometimes reliable metrics are, fulfilled.
Yeah, okay.
Methods of evaluating user interface. One of them is visibility of the system status. The system should always keep users informed about what is going on. For example, the progress during a file transfer, provide immediate feedback. Is that true?
Yeah.
Did you get it, what it is?
Yeah, the visibility.
Like, if you copied and tried to paste on the another folder, yeah, and it was a 2 GB, and it would be keep on updating you that it's 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, and 2 seconds left.
Yeah, or like if you're downloading a file
Yeah.
from from wherever, from a website or something, it gives you a little countdown,
It's an
doesn't it?
strict idea, but sometime if the internet is very slow, then you might need to wait 2 days.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the visibility of the system status is basically the one of the key factor of evaluating the interfaces. Another one is the match between the system and the real world. The system should speak the user's language with words, phrases, and metaphors and representation familiar to the user. Yeah. So whatsoever the dialogues, whatsoever the language is used within the operations of a computer, yeah, it should be realistic and matching with the real world. Yeah, like it
Yeah.
shouldn't be it should not use a very technical words. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Then user control and freedom supports undo and redo actions, allow users to override the system. Yeah. So your user interface should allow the user control freedom. Yeah. Like
Okay.
you copied or you deleted, it should be able to undelete. Yeah. Recycle, unrecycle. Yeah. Move all, undo, move all. You must have seen these, options.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
so
But like,
so that also counts towards the better user interface.
yeah.
because that's not only about the Windows, but we are also concerned about the your software as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So next, consistency and standards. So consistency is basically that your screen should be consistent. Like user should not have to wonder whether the different words, situations, or actions mean the same thing. Follow behavior user expert. Follow behavior user expect and platform conventions. So consistency is basically that there should not be any change in the things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like the terminology, for example, if somewhere the font is different, and on on the one side there is another font. For example, if I say like a desktop, yeah, it shouldn't be the case that some of the icons would be bigger and some of the icons would be small.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your user interface, the consistency should be there, and it should have kind of standard platform conventions.
Yeah. Okay.
So platform convention is like if you are using the Windows, yeah. So conventionally you should have the same way of uh, your Windows folders and files. Yeah. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be the case that it should have a kind of features like the Linux operating system. Make sense?
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like the Linux.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? It doesn't work properly.
Yeah. Yeah. So error prevention prevents a problem from occurring in the first place. Be permissive to various entry formats. So your interface should have kind of error prevention in the first place. Be permissive to various entry formats, like when you are typing into the keyboard, yeah,
Mhm.
into
Yeah.
any, yeah, then you should warn to the user that the date of birth or the month cannot be exceed the 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So be permissive to various entry formats. So various entry formats could be any, like you explicitly mention or allow the user to select out of 12. Instead they enter the wrong month. Maybe they try to enter the wrong month, like a 13.
Yeah. Okay.
So it also counts towards the evaluation of your user interface, that your techniques should also allow the error prevention,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Recognition rather than recall, making objects, actions, and options visible, making navigation visible, and make it easy to go back and go to home page and quit. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you be able to recognize each and everything. Instead, you close the application, yeah, and redo again.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Flexibility and efficiency of use speed up the interaction of the expert users with accelerator. Experts prefer few screens with a lot of information and a lot of flexibility in the methods, while novice users prefer going through step-by-step sequence with a little information. Yeah. So
Okay.
flexibility and ease of use, that you don't put everything in one screen, because the expert users might be okay to do it. Otherwise, the new users don't like too many things, in one screen. They want, things in one by one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Aesthetic and minimalistic design. Dialogue should not contain information that is irrelevant or rarely needed. In other words, present only necessary information to the task. Rarely used information should be in the secondary screen or windows. For example, an error came in and the user only has the option to close it or maybe retry. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for example, the Windows is showing to you the error and the reasons of the error and, the warning and blah, blah, blah. You would be, worried and scared that what you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. To avoid this, try to make it a minimal design and make it aesthetic. Aesthetic is like a nature lighting. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Manage errors. Error messages should be expressed in plain language, no codes. Like I said, don't confuse the user. Yeah.
Yeah.
Precisely indicate the problem and constructively suggest a solution.
Okay.
Like don't scare the user. Simply say this is an error and you try in other way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Help and documentation. Use prompt and contextual help. Related the task. Allow easy search. Yeah.
Okay.
Prompt is like a quick and contextual is that making some sense.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, user interface specification, that how you want to specify the user interface. Yeah. A user interface specification is a document that captures the details of the software user interface into a written document. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in a written document, you want to specify about the user interface. The specification covers all possible actions that an end user may perform and all visual, auditory, and other interaction elements. The user interface specification is the main source of implementation information for how the software should work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if someone is going to create a design, then they would be following the user interface specification. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Beyond implementation, a user interface specification should consider usability, localization, and demo limits. Yeah. So so don't rely on the implementation. Yeah. Only consider the user specification, which would tell you the usability, localization, and demo limits. That where it should start, where should it end, how it should be presented and organized. Yeah.
Yeah.
The user interface spec may also be incorporated by those within the organization responsible for marketing, graphic design, and software testing. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
user interface may also be incorporated by those within the organization responsible for marketing, graphic design, and software testing. Means the people who test the software, who create the graphic design, who do the marketing, can also give a kind of feedback from an organization that how a user interface should look like they want.
They would be the best people as well, wouldn't they? Because they're going to have that creative touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only the creative touch, for example, if they are not the graphic designer, but like a marketing people, they can quickly tell you that whether it is, suitable and meets the requirement or not.
Yeah. Okay.
They have a kind of, a genuine practical touch.
Yeah.
Right. As future designers might continue or build on top of existing work, a user interface specification should consider forward compatibility constraints in order to assist the implementation team. So, for example, if you created a software, it had the 10 buttons on a form. Then in future, if someone wanted to add something more, then it should be easy for them to do some changes, and their work done should be compatible in order to get it upgraded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Furthermore, a user interface specification can be regarded as the document that bridges the gap between the product management function and implementation. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the implementation teams and the product management function, like that what the functions need to be done, a user interface would be a bridge. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of stair that would connect between them. For example, the product management functions would tell the specification to the implementation team.
Okay.
Like product management functions, I'm not this may not be the only definition. Yeah. But after the implementation, yeah, like a product management, so product is done is can be considered as after its implementation. Yeah. So this
Okay.
can also be considered that whether the product management is doing well, it's the only specification that can tell you that whether it's good, right or wrong. Makes sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. One of the main purposes of the user specification is to process the product requirements into a more detailed format. Yeah.
Mm.
The level of the detail and the document type varies depending on the needs and design practices of the organizations. The small scale prototypes might require only modest documentation with high level details. Yeah.
Yeah.
In general, the goal of the requirement specifications are to describe what a product is capable of, whereas the user interface specification details how these requirements are implemented in practice. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, user interface fundamental principles. Yeah. The principle of user interface design are intended to improve the quality of user interface design. Yeah. According to Larry Constantine and Lucy Lockwood in their usage center design, like they are the authors or researchers who worked on these user interface things. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The principles are: the structure principle is that design should organize the user interface purposefully, yeah, in meaningful and useful ways based on clear, consistent models that are apparent and recognizable to users, putting related things together and separating unrelated things, differentiating dissimilar things and making similar things resemble one another. The structure principle is concerned with overall user interface architecture. So structure is main thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like putting the horses into one portion and putting the donkeys into one portion.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like keeping the cattle into a separate field, and keeping the horses into separate field. It shouldn't be the case like one horse may be placed into the wrong, and either there shouldn't be the mix up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you can understand what exactly is the structure. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So the simplicity principle. Yeah. The simplicity principle is that design should make simple, common task easy, communicating clear and simply in the user's own language, and providing good shortcuts that are meaningfully related to longer procedures. Yeah. So
Okay.
like the structure of government website, the gov.co.uk, they have tried to make it very simple, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like on the left hand side they have given a kind of fields and the green button, and on the right hand column they have always given the related links related in order to go further. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't
Okay.
put anything extra, on those particular pages. For example, probably you could jump, from DV layer to, the NI. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have made the things, into separate domains and, the subfolders. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The visibility principle, the user should make all needed options and material for a given task visible without distracting the user with extraneous or redundant information. Good design don't overwhelm users with alternatives or confuse with unneeded information. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the thing should be visible. The attention should not be distracted from the actual action. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But unfortunately, it happens in the Google nowadays. When you're trying to search something, then your attention is drawn, and even, suddenly, you think that the first link is your link, and after 2 seconds, when you take an action of the mouse, to click, and uh, the paid advertisements are getting clicked.
Yeah. That's it.
You
Yeah.
notice
Yeah. I do. Yeah.
they are basically cheating.
Yeah.
The Google is nowadays cheating indeed.
Yeah.
So they have violated the visibility principle indeed.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't like clicking those paid for ones. I try and avoid them.
But to be honest, Google used to show only kind of, few, two, three, advertisements on the top. And nowadays, the whole page, comes with the advertisements, and and only experts, can know, expert computer users can know that whether they are going to click on the sponsored link or the actual link.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Well, sorry, Google, we are trying to complain about you.
Yeah.
The feedback principle, the design should keep users informed of actions or interpretations, change, changes of state or condition, and errors or exceptions that are relevant and interest to the user through clear, concise, and unambiguous language familiar to users. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the feedback should also be considered. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tolerance principle, the design should be flexible and tolerant, reducing the cost of mistakes and misuse by allowing undoing and redoing, while also preventing errors wherever possible by tolerating varied inputs and sequences and by interpreting all reasonable actions. Yeah. So your interface should be tolerable
Yeah.
against any incorrect inputs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reuse principle, the design should reuse the internal and external components and behaviors, maintaining consistency with purpose rather than merely arbitrary consistency, thus reducing the need for users to rethink and remember. Yeah. So
Yeah.
reuse principle maybe, kind of, I'm not sure 100%, but for example, you reuse many things like your shipment address, yeah, and like a part of your application things, yeah,
Yeah.
and that should be, an advantageous, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe if you are on a website and you want to apply for the job, yeah, then probably your portfolio should remain same, maybe.
Yeah.
The role of user interface prototypes. Yeah. So now I will be going through a little bit quicker and might be skipping, the details. Is it okay?
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
The prototypes have several purposes. You know that what is a prototype.
Yeah. It's kind of like
Like,
a pro-
before you produce the 100% implemented version of the system, yeah,
yeah.
probably you produce, a 10% implemented functionality.
Yeah. It's kind of like a sample, isn't it, almost?
Like, for example, if you can insert a record, yeah, then it would be a prototype. However, it would be assumed that insertion, deletion, for example, you gave an idea of insertion, but the deletion, updation, and removal would be implemented later.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but you can
Yeah.
quickly show someone that see how this is inserted, and later on, if they are happy with the way, then you would provide them, the rest of the operations. Make sense?
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, user interface development process. Yeah. So that development process basically undergoes, yeah, uh, it requires a good understanding of user needs. Make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So you need to gather the functionality requirements. Yeah. You should have that makes obviously, like we discussed earlier, that what you want to create, you need to know, and you need to think about it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So the interface development would require functionality requirements gathered, information architecture, in which architecture the information would be. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It would require the user and task analysis. You need to analyze, yeah, that what they want and what tasks they want.
Yeah. Okay.
So what users are they? Like, what would the user want the system to do? How
Yeah.
would the system fit with the user's normal workflow or daily activities? How technically savvy is the user, and what similar systems do the user already use? What interface look and feel styles appeal to user? Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is also one of the development process that you need to know about the user and the task. And we discussed earlier that functionality should be known, information should be known, and you should be able to produce the prototype as well in the user interface development. Make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And you should also be able to inspect the usability as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically the the systems. If we recall the system development life cycle, that's the requirements, design, implementation, testing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the user interface, like even the user interface is the thing that the computer and the human gives an interaction. Yeah. So many things are involved, like starting from that what is required on the user, on the screen, what information you want to see on the user interface. You need to think about the user and task, what they want to do. You should be able to provide the prototype. You should be able to inspect the usability. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
You should be able to test the usability as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you should be able to have a graphical user interface design, the actual look, that how you would create it. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And your user interface should also include the software maintenance thingies as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Because even if it is the maintenance may be done at the back end, but it could be done in the user interface, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like all system development life cycles, obviously the system development life cycle includes the implementation and design, the internal architecture. However, the user interface involves the software maintenance things, like the graphical user interface itself. It means whether you would be using the icons, whether you would be using the links whatsoever, and that should be tested. Usability inspection should be done, and these concerns. Is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, user interface design basics. Yeah. So the basics are keep the interface simple, yeah. Create a consistency and use common user interface element. Like consistencies, like your font should be, similar. It shouldn't be the jumping like you use a 72 font and suddenly you use a font, size 12. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're clear that what is the consistency, yeah?
Yeah, it's all the same, isn't it? It's got to be the
Yeah.
same, yeah.
Be purposeful in a page layout, yeah. Purposeful is that whatever the page you are giving, the thing should be only the useful thing, and for a purpose you are showing something, yeah. It shouldn't
Yeah,
be the case that you try to put everything on a page.
yeah.
Strategically use color and texture. It shouldn't be the case that you use a random color, but no, probably you need to select a background color that should help someone to read the text, yeah.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be the case that you chose the wrong color and users have the what should I say, difficulty in reading, or purposefully, for example, uh, if the Google wants to cheat, yeah, then they would be using the color of that, sponsor ads, and the normal searches is the same. Strategically, they have tried to make the thing similar.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
So any selection of colors and text, is basically the strategically usage, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Use a typography to create hierarchy and clarity. Carefully consider how you use the typeface, different sizes. Fonts typography is basically related with the fonts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like there are lots of fonts, they look like a kind of computer font. They look like a handwriting fonts. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You must have seen, fonts, they look like a kind of handwritten fonts.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Like curly, and that font is written with a kind of pen, yeah.
Yeah.
So they use according to the need, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Make sure that the system communicates what's happening, yeah. So what's happening, like there was a hint that if it is copying something, then the status and these things should be very much clear, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and think about the defaults. So by carefully thinking about the anticipated goals and people bring to your site, for example, it's obvious that when you click on the payment, then most of the website give a message, thanks for your order. Your order is completed. Yeah. And
Yeah.
when we look at this word that completed, and thank you, yeah, and without looking at the details, we understand that the order has been placed.
Yeah.
You feel relaxed that what you wanted, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you know something's gonna happen.
Yeah. So, and you already expected that there should be a kind of message, and it shouldn't be the case, that it took you to the somewhere else. You understand what I mean, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
They have tried, the default things
Yeah.
that what the users want in the end, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Structure. Now, best practice and principles in user interface design are structure principle. Your structure should be good enough. Simplicity principle is that your simple, structure should help you in order to give you a good practice. Visibility principle. Your page should be good. Your content should have a good visibility. Feedback principle. You should be able to get a feedback. Tolerance principle, that it should be able to cope with any kind of errors and other things, yeah.
Yeah.
Techniques for designing user interface: set standard and stick to them. So you should follow the standard, yeah. Be
Yeah,
prepared
okay.
to hold the line, yeah. Do it according to what the stakeholders want.
Okay.
Yeah. Explain the rules, that according to what rule you would be creating the user interface. Use color appropriately. Yeah. Don't create busy user interface. Yeah. Take an evolutionary approach, and the evolutionary approach is basically the one of the system development methodology you remember.
Yeah.
Evolutionary, that someday some of them say that you follow this methodology. Some of them say that you can skip those, steps and do according to as per need. You remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Agile model is about that. Yeah.
Yeah. On this, that was under the systems analysis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I was little bit quicker in the last slide, but I hope that the terms are self-explanatory, and I try to give you a better explanation about these terms. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, if I've got any questions, I'll let you know when I come to do this one.
Yeah, definitely. You are most welcome. So
Yeah.
we end this session now, and I would see you tomorrow. Is it okay?
Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
That's fine. So let's have a next session tomorrow. 99.9%. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In
Yeah.
case if anything happens, I need to cancel, then I would let you know. Or on your side, if anything goes, anything comes important, then let me know. Yeah.
Yep, I will do. Yes.
All
Speak to
right
you
then. Yeah.
tomorrow.
See you tomorrow 7 p.m. again. Yeah.
Yep. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.